coming to you live from Tulsa, Oklahoma. It is my joy to share with you one of my greatest lessons, and I named it appropriately, what's hiding in your lingerie drawer. You see, your lingerie drawer is the place where intimate things are kept. It's the place where you put things that you don't always want everyone else to see. And for me, it was my safety zone. It's where I could hide my most precious possessions, thoughts, and things that I never would risk letting other people see. Let me tell you a little bit about me, and let me tell you a story. In 2005, I recorded a spoken word CD in my church studio. It was one of the final recordings at that particular setting. I was so excited about recording live. I had used my voice in so many different ways. I have been singing since I was 6 years old. I'm an ordained minister. I had preached many sermons. I had sung on different projects with other people, but never had I used my own voice to speak to the world what was within me and what was in my heart by myself. So it was a time of excitement, and yet it was a time of fear. And I stood in that sanctuary at a moment where it appeared like there was a download straight from the mind and the heart of God straight to me. And I began to speak on those things that I was hearing. And it was so palpable that the engineer and I both could feel the tremendous amount of spirit that was in that room. So I just began to speak what was being said in that moment. And that CD was released. It was called Spoken Word Volume 1. Soon after, I began to share that CD with other people. And I thought, prepared for the critique of others. What I wasn't prepared for was the critique that was deep within myself. I had critiqued myself so often, like many of you, to the degree that I would not release what was inside of me. I kept it hidden. So I began to tell a few people here and a few people there, and my inner critic was so dismissive of my gifts that I began to feel something that most people are keenly aware of: shame. That inner critic began to repeat a voice that I had heard before. And it was that voice that spoke to me about, who do you think you are? Who are you to put out a CD? Who are you to share your voice with the world? Even though I had this knowing deep down in my knower that my voice was to be heard around the world. I was one of those people that wanted that label on my CD, on my writings, that said that it would have been interpreted by 200 different languages. That's what I wanted. That's what I desired. But my actions didn't match up with what I was saying. And so I took that CD and I hid it. That was 2005. Most of my friends didn't even know that I had made that CD, because I would only bring it out in clandestine ways. It was a little bit here and a little bit there. I would never share it fully with everyone. So most of my friends didn't even know that I had created that CD, probably not until 2014. So 9 years it stayed in my lingerie drawer. And I'm very clear that was not an accident. I'm clear that shame overshadowed me more than I could even articulate in this moment. It gripped me so tight and so close. It was almost like taking my breath away. Like there was no oxygen left in the room. The only thing that I could see was shame. And what was I ashamed of? I was ashamed of being great. I was ashamed of doing more. I was ashamed of reaching that place of destiny that I had talked about, spoken about even over my own life, and had spoken to myself about, and I knew was real. But in that moment, what was more real than what I could see in the future and in my future was what I was experiencing in my right now. And it began to almost delete those files that had been downloaded previously. I talked about being excited. I talked about the fear that I had, because abundant living is more than just something that you possess. There's a responsibility that comes with living inside of abundance. And I had gotten myself on a merry-go-round that seemingly I could not get off of. And there's an illustration. I want to share with you a story from one of my favorite shows, Grey's Anatomy. And on this particular episode, this is when Derek McDreamy has made his transition. And on this episode, Meredith is in this space of where her mother, who has already made her transition, is coming to her, and the scene of the carousel keeps appearing. And her mother says, Ella says, you cannot get off. And I remember listening to that and wondering what was the lesson, because I find lessons, I hear so many things out of everything that I witness, whether it's a movie or it's a TV show or it's music. God is always speaking. And so as I watched that episode, when Ella said, you can never get off, and you fast forward into that episode, Meredith begins to understand that she has a choice point. I can get off. Just like I got on, I can get off. And she begins to think about what's her next step. Bailey comes in one day as Meredith is beginning a surgery, and she says, can you do this? And I was asking myself, as I'm asking you today, can you do this? And Meredith's emphatic response was, all I have to do is begin. One of the things that I spoke about on the Spoken Word Volume 1 was, you can begin again. I had to remember my own words that I could begin again. And so I began little by little taking that CD out of the lingerie drawer, dusting it off. And I began to send that CD with a very simple label. I began to send the CD out to people that I knew it would do something for them in that moment. So sometimes it's not the big thing. It's not the high risk that you start with. Sometimes you have to start with a low challenge with yourself to bring yourself out of that stupor, out of the mindset that I can't. And so you see, what I did was I started with a low challenge. I started with my friends. That's how my friends began to know that I actually had made the CD. And every time I presented it, they were like, Carmen, when did you do this? I said, 2005. You've got to be kidding me. Do you know what I was going through in this time and this time? And I could have used this, and I'm just so glad that I have it now. One of my friends, Chad, who lives in New York, began to share with me how he used that CD during his prayer meditation time. And that's exactly how I wanted it to be used, because that's how it came through me. And so what am I saying to you? As an entrepreneur, as a minister, as a teacher, as whatever your life goals are, whatever your call and your cause is, sometimes we can move in the direction of our goals and get so far off of what we were intended to do, because what's inside of us, we hear more of someone else's story than we hear of our own, and we get lost. Every last one of us has an inner GPS. We all have a guiding system on the inside of us that will lead us directly to the place that we have called, the place that we actually said yes to when we came here. I want you to understand that before you ever arrived here, before your parents ever came together, you said yes to come. And now that we're all here, we have a mandate, an obligation, a responsibility to stand fully inside of our purpose, which means we cannot remain hidden. What's hidden cannot be seen. It's a guarantee. I was guaranteeing that no one would be able to hear or experience that CD while it was in my lingerie drawer. No one would be able to hear it. And I cannot even begin to tell you the countless times that when I pulled it out and just rode around with it for a couple of days and listened to it myself, how it began to call things up out of inside of me. And that was the goal. So today, as I'm before you, I want you to know whatever it is that you've been called to do, whatever you have a mind to do, you can do it. You can start right now. Whether it's standing in the mirror talking to yourself, or it's gathering 2 or 3 of your friends and practicing with your friends, you can begin right now. Secrets, when we have secrets and when we keep things silent, that's when other things have an opportunity to come in and unravel and undo what already has been done. Dr. Brene Brown says it like this, that shame lives inside of perfectionists, live inside of shame, and it's a silent killer of dreams. Today you have an opportunity to answer your call. Today you have an opportunity to rise. Today you have an opportunity to awaken to that place inside of you that's trying to push through. But I know some of you, just like me, have listened to those people who are in the stands of their life speaking to you about what you should be doing when they haven't even gotten out of the stands and you're in the game. You're being pushed around, shoved, and you're fighting to keep your dream alive and to get into action. So my challenge to you is let go of those voices. Don't just mute them. You've got to destroy the tape. It's not enough just to turn it down. You've got to destroy the tape. You've got to destroy that mindset that keeps you landlocked into a particular mindset, in a particular mental zip code that will not allow for your release. Today, you're at a choice point, just like the fictional character Meredith Grey, Shepherd. You're at a choice point. Today, you get to choose. Just like you stepped into the kiddie pool of life, you stepped in, you can step out. So today is an opportunity for you to step out. And part of stepping out is realizing that there's more to your being here than just being here. Your voice matters. Your life matters. What you do with your life matters. Because as my friend TJ Mercer says, you, beloved, are someone's answer to prayer. Your coaching, your consultation, your business is someone's, your solutions is someone's answer to prayer. They've been looking for you. They've been looking for me. Why keep them waiting? It's time to release yourself into the world. It's time to come out of your lingerie drawer. It's time to come out of obscurity, anonymity, because what you're seeking wants you. And today is that day. This is your right now. This is your right now moment. This is the right now hour for you to move and see and hear and know that you, my friend, have been called for a day like this. And so we make the declaration that I'm still here. I know that I've had that thing in the closet. I know I've had that thing hidden. I know I've had that thing laid up in the secret place. But today I choose to bring it out. And I can withstand the scrutiny, the critique, because I'm not a one-hit wonder. This is not all of me. This is just a portion of me. So today, choose. Make a choice to be alive, to be awakened to your destiny. Because all of us has continuous moments of destiny. It's not a one-time thing. You continue to hit the target over and over and over and over again until you release into the world all of you. And the world is better because you said yes. Thank you.